What is going on, guys? It is me, ESH Models, here with my first full-length video. This will be on the Rhino. Now, I know what you're asking. Why is the Modern Warfare 2 campaign footage on my screen instead of footage of you building the Rhino? Well, that's very simple. First of all, don't disrespect the Modern Warfare 2 campaign ever again. That was ridiculous. Why would you even say that? Second of all, it's because the footage of me building it looks like this, and instead of looking at this tiny, quarter of the screen, I thought it'd be way more fun to look at the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, and most people would agree with me. So that's what I put on here. It's like just treat it like your Subway Surfers gameplay, just something to look at in the background of the video while I'm yapping. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get into it here. This channel is supposed to be from the perspective of a scale model, so first we're going to compare a normal armor kit from Tamiya, one of the better companies for scale models, and compare it to the Warhammer tank. It's not really fair because it's not purpose built for that, it's made for the game, but I just thought it'd be fun. So getting into the normal tank here, I chose the a little bit of an older Panther kit from Tamiya. If I ever decide to put it down, there she is. Busting her open, we've got all of the plastic parts on the inside and some nice plastic packaging. Everything's put in there all nice, so if any of the pieces get knocked loose, they'll stay in there instead of shaking around, because the boxes aren't exactly the best protection. Taking a closer look here, once I decide to flip it over, there's a small decal sheet there, much smaller than most, but I mean it is a tank, so there's not a whole lot you can do with it. There's also the tracks for the vehicle made out of a more stretchy kind of rubber material. You can see there they're very, very rubbery, I guess would be the best way to put it. And then we are diving into the instruction manual. It comes with two of them, one in English, one in Japanese, I believe. On the left there you can see a sprue map, which helps you find the parts a little better. None of it's in color, which is kind of lame, but the instructions do the job at the end of the day, although they may not be pretty, I guess. Taking a closer look at the decal sheet here, it's pretty small. Got all the details you would need, unit insignia, stuff like that. Little bent, but it's not really that big of a deal. I've had no problems with them in the past. Pulling one of these out of the bags, you can also get a closer look. The sprues are very organized. Things are kind of grouped together, like the little soldier guy down there. He's all kind of grouped in one big area. All the parts are kind of easy to identify. They're not all clumped together. So it's a pretty standard affair in terms of a tank model kit. It's got your instructions, got all the pieces you need, the painting instructions in there somewhere, all the decals, everything you need to make a decent little tank model for yourself. So let's get into the Rhino here. The Rhino box looks a lot better, way cooler art. All of the extra bits and bobs on the front look really cool. A little harder to get open here. Gosh, she will not come out of there. There we go. Ooh, right off the bat, nothing's really in plastic bags, so I mean, yeah, it's not like a big deal, but parts could come loose, they could get damaged. This box is a little thicker, but I mean, still, that's not really a good excuse. Parts, standard affair on there, pretty nice, very decently organized, although the markings for which parts or which are not as pronounced and obvious, so at times it probably could be a little hard to find things. And overall, I mean, pretty good plastic quality. I could tell just by feeling it. It's some pretty high grade stuff. And then the instructions here, certainly more colorful, lot more going on. Steps are laid out pretty clearly. I mean, it was just like building, like any APC I would build just with normal scale models. Definitely, certainly more colorful, a lot more going on. There's a lot more options I've noticed in these little pamphlets. Look at all those little bits and bobs you can put on. You can choose between all the weapons over here on this side. It's honestly just a lot more fun, and there's a lot more room for creativity. The decal sheet, while larger, Most people will only end up using like one little section here because these are for all of the Chaos Legions because they all share one model, one Rhino. So I'd only be using that little Thousand Suns section. So I mean, it's pretty standard size decal sheet. So now we're going to compare the two because that's kind of the whole point of the video. Starting with the Panther, I mean, it's a pretty standard experience, especially if you're familiar with like the Tamiya like tank model kits. You know what you're getting into. You got your standard issue instructions, black and white, tell you what to do. Get some painting instructions. Your main goal with these is to make them look historically accurate, make them look lived in, you know, like she's been around the block a time or two. With there's not a lot of creativity, I guess. I mean, you could just paint a Abrams purple, I guess, if you wanted to, but it's not really why you're building the model kit here. So with the Panther, the downsides of it are those rubber tracks. I really don't like working with the rubber tracks because with like paint and weathering, there's only so much you can do with them. And I found out the hard way that they're just not easy to work with, especially with most paints, acrylic, and I mean, it's just not a fun time. The pros, the parts are way easier to find, in my opinion, than with the Rhino. The sprue map included in the instructions definitely helps you pick out the parts a little easier. It was a little harder with the Rhino. I don't know if it's just the way they're labeled. I'm not used to it. It could just be a me thing. But the parts were definitely easier to find in this kit. Overall, it was pretty good. Had a couple of small fit issues, but I mean, with Tamiya, you're getting some pretty good stuff. Moving on to the Rhino, one of the main positives I have for the Rhino is that its tracks are solid. You know, like it's a solid piece of plastic that's in there, so they're very, very, very dependable. You know, you could do a lot with them. I didn't have too many fit issues with the Rhino. There were a couple, especially with the larger pieces, but I mean, that's kind of expected. I mean, I also learned to make something called sprue goo. It's basically just Tamiya plastic cement that's mixed with like cut up pieces of sprue, and it helps fill gaps really nicely. So that's a cool little, you know, trick of the trade I would have never thought of before this. So that was definitely a bonus. One of the cons with the Rhino is that it doesn't have any like locating pin or like little holes that you can put like the side stuff onto, which I mean, it's not really practical for the Rhino to have something like that because there's just so many options with it. They couldn't, you know, they couldn't put all of them on there and then just have you fill all of them with like putty or something for the ones that you don't use the little accessories on. So I mean, I get why they do it. It's just a little frustrating to have to position all that stuff and then you hit it a little bit and it knocks it all off kilter. But I mean, overall, a pretty pleasant build. Not a whole lot of fit issues. A little smaller than I thought it was going to be, but I mean, you know, size doesn't really matter to me. It's all about how you use it. Overall, it was a pretty cool experience getting to build something that I've never really built before. I mean, I've built, you know, tens of tank models in my life, but this was a lot more. It was a lot more lenient. I could be a lot more creative. You know, put some little decorations and stuff on there. You know, make it a little bit more mine. Put some symbols on there. You know, that little front push guard thing. I definitely had a lot more fun building this than I would some of the tank models out there. Again, it was kind of frustrating. Not a lot of stuff on the outside, especially, was easy to get in place because there was no like pins and stuff. But as I'm about to show you, there's just so many details on there. Just a whole like sprue left over of just stuff you can add to it. So it was definitely a fun experience. I would definitely recommend it for, you know, scale modelers who want to venture out a little bit. And for the viewers who had their eyes open, you might have recognized that I haven't painted it yet. That's because I'm going to do it in stages. I'm going to build my army first, make the building videos, and then I'm going to prime everything, and then I'm going to make the painting videos after that, kind of in that order, just so I can keep it in stages. It just works a little better for me. Going forward, the next thing I'm going to build is a 10-man squad of trusty Rubric Marines, the backbone of any Thousand Suns army. So they'll be next. Definitely stay tuned for that. Sorry for the inconsistent uploads. There's just been a decent amount of stuff going on as per usual. Haven't really found like good slots to dedicate to YouTube. Just been having fun with people and a bunch of plans and stuff, birthdays. But all that yapping aside, thank you very much for watching. That's about all I got for you, man. Deuces.